bro. And as far as the debate, man, I did not watch the debate last night in its entirety. Um, I didn't plan on watching it at all. My homeboy Jay Swans, he's really heavy into this stuff, man. He was watching it, and he's like, "Are you watching the debate?" I'm like, "No, why would I watch this, bro? It's not. There's nothing that I'm gonna get out of that debate." Right? You guys know how I feel about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Two horrible choices. It is what it is. You just got to make your choice, and based on what you're gonna base it on, there's nothing that either one of those two candidates could have said in the debate that was going to get me to change my mind. But he just stayed on me like, "Oh man, you got to see this." Oh man, he's like, I'm like, all right. So I turned it on for a second, and then I turned it off again. I was texting him back like, "I can't believe you got me trying to watch this," and I turned it on one more time. So I mean, I may have watched 10, maybe 15 minutes of it live, not continuous. It was like maybe 5 minutes here, 8 minutes there, a few minutes there. You know what I mean? But I have watched the highlights, and I have watched the talking heads in all of the reviews of the debate. And so I will tell you this: Donald Trump definitely lost. If you're looking at the debate as like maybe like a sporting event, like a game, um, Donald Trump went into that game as the favorite to win. He went in, you know, favorite to win. It was like, yeah, it was his debate to lose. And I'm a big football fan here in America. And I'm from Cincinnati, so I'm a big fan of the Cincinnati Bengals, the University of Cincinnati Bearcats, and I also like the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. I've always liked Notre Dame, and I understand when your team goes in to a game highly favored and they blow chunks. Like Donald Trump did a horrible job, and it's just like the Bearcats, just like the Fighting Irish, just like the Bengals last weekend. They went in and did a horrible job. Horrible. Right? Point blank, period. And they lost. And Donald Trump lost. Kamala Harris was able to get under his skin. She had a game plan that worked perfectly. Um, she did everything that they set out to do, that she trained to do, that she practiced to do. She executed flawlessly. Donald Trump couldn't help himself. He fell in, he fell to her, you know, baiting him. He fell for every trap that she laid out there. He looked like a complete idiot. Like she showed what this dude looks like. And with all this, now you have all this content that, you're gonna see all this in campaign ads. Neither one of them talked about their vision for the country, especially Trump. Trump was just out there doing the Trump stuff. He looked like a very bitter, scared old dude. He was definitely afraid of Kamala Harris, didn't want to shake her hand. She set the stage. She came out there and cornered him to make sure that he shook her hand. And then she told him how to pronounce her name. My name is Kamala. And you notice Donald Trump didn't say her name not once. He didn't say Kamala not one time. Right. So she absolutely did what she set out to do. Now, as far as debate goes, as far as if you were in there looking for policy, if you're one of the 7 to 12% of Americans who don't know where they stand, right here, I don't know how that's the case, but if you're one of those people who don't know where you stand and you wanted this debate so you could learn more about policy, well, that didn't happen last night. If you were watching that debate to see who Kamala Harris is and what type of person she is, she was able to convey that. She came off as strong. She came off as presidential. She came off as the grown up in the room. But as far as her policy, as far as her, handling, taking responsibility for Joe Biden's policy, as far as separating herself from the Joe Biden administration, she didn't do any of that. But what she did do was make Donald Trump look like a complete idiot. Right. And then it could be enough to get folks to say, well, I don't know about this guy. If Kamala Harris can do this to him, what is Putin doing to this guy? What is Xi Jinping doing to this guy? What are all these other people doing to this dude? You can see how easy it is to manipulate this guy to either push him to bad Trump or push him to good Trump. And if people who are paying close attention, if that's what they're looking for, that's what they got to see. Having said all that, Yeah, she won the election. Even the Republican conservative talking heads are saying that. They got their talking points. They want to blame the moderators or whatever. Blame whoever you want to blame. It's like, oh, Trump, it was 3-on-1. Those three people were against Trump. Yeah, they sure were. Right? Yeah, that's what they do. Trump had to know that. It is what it is. He lost. They're trying to spin it as best they can. But when the camera goes off and you just talk to, even the talking heads, the MAGA people, the Trumpers, even they'll concede like, yeah, he looked horrible. He did a really bad job. Obviously, he didn't prepare. And if he did prepare, they did a horrible job getting him ready. He had no game plan. So yeah, she won a debate. Now, does that mean she's going to win the election? Absolutely not. Still an incredibly close race. Still too close to call, right? So keep that in mind, guys. This race is too close to call, incredibly close. So what's going to happen in November? Don't know. Will there be a second election if Kamala Harris is smart, if her team is smart? I mean, not election. There's going to be a second debate. Sorry about that. Will there be a second debate? If Team Harris is smart, they wouldn't do it. Why take that chance? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do a debate. If you're Team Trump, you want another debate. You want a debate, and then you can, Trump will sit down with his team and actually get prepped and try to do what he needs to do because he did such a horrible job. Just think about the Trump-Biden debate and how poorly a job Joe Biden did. He did such a bad job that no one was paying attention to how bad Donald Trump did in that debate. Same thing happened last night. Trump did such a horrible job that no one's paying attention to Kamala Harris's missteps, and she had a bunch, right? No one's paying attention to the fact that she really doesn't have any plans other than the one that she tried to float out there for small businesses, first-time home buyers, and people who are having their first baby. The small business initiative, $50,000 tax credit, that sounds amazing. How do you get it? How are you going to pay for it? Which is more important? Definitely that would be deficit spending. And then $25,000, I think it was $20,000 or $25,000 for a first-time home buyer. Okay, how does that work? And then the $6,000 for children, for families who are having a baby. Is it just the first baby, or is that for every baby you have? Great ideas. When she said that, I would have loved to hear more about that, but they went off to start talking about whatever they was talking about, migrants eating pets, or talking about what they were talking about with the leaching of babies. And I mean, boy, Trump took it down some very, very, very crazy rabbit holes. So you really couldn't get to hear anything. We don't know anything about a border plan. We don't know anything about, how we're going to handle the existing undocumented people in this country. And we didn't talk about how we're going to bring prices down. We didn't talk about how we're going to control inflation. And look what the markets did in America the day after the debate. The CPI numbers came out, and it looked like the markets were tanking at one point. The Dow was down over 600 points. I don't know where it closed. I don't know where it is right now. But, some people would try to tie that to Donald Trump's performance. Like, Donald Trump did so bad that even the markets are like, we don't know about this guy. So yeah, that's it. I mean, as far as this election goes, man, still too close to call. Kamala Harris did win that debate. They're only really playing to like I said, between 7 and 12% of Americans, and those Americans are in 3 states. Those 7 battleground states, but I think the only 3 count, and that's Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Those are the only 3 that counts. If the Democrats could win those 3 states, they'll keep the White House. So yeah, that's where we were last night. How many people in those battleground states that I just named, the blue wall, were swayed enough to move to Kamala Harris's side? If it were 3%, 3.5%, that should be enough for her to win the election. If it was like 1.5%, right? Like 1%, 1.5%, that wouldn't be enough to get her over the edge, and she probably wouldn't be able to hold on to the blue wall. These are all just my takes on it, just my opinion. So like, it is what it is. Brother AJ's in the building. What's good? What's good? So yeah, it was that was the event. People got to see it. Like I said, I didn't want to watch that thing live. I barely watched it. I only did it because my homeboy was like, man, you got to watch this. And I told him, like, bro, you owe me a bottle for making me watch this garbage. He's like, oh, I got you. Don't worry about it. So at least I got me a bottle out of it. What did you get out of it? Out there. We got Avoiding Hornet in the building. What's good, fam? I heard a lot of people saying he won, which is kind of wild to me. Yeah, well, that's just team. People who are Team Trump, they're going to say he won. That my biggest gripe with MAGA and my biggest gripe with the rank and file conservative person is they won't admit when something goes wrong. I love the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm a Bengals fan. There was no reason for us to lose at home against the New England Patriots in the opening game. That was just dumb. And I can list 35 things as to, what went wrong and why. I'm not a huge fan of our coach. I mean, I'm like, that's just glaring. They made some moves in the off season. So, we lost a very powerful running back and Mixon. Like Nick, he's gone. We got Chase, but this was like his first time really running with the team. So it's like a whole bunch of things we could get into. And I could say, yeah, these are all problems. The MAGA people won't do that. I mean, you got like the high IQ MAGA people will say, yeah, he blew it, he messed up, but then they'll pivot to talking points. But the rank and file MAGA person is just like, no, he won, we won. I'm like, man, no, that's just delusional. And that, talking about migrants eating cats and dogs, talking about what they were talking about with deleting babies after 9 months and all that. I mean, Trump sounded horrible. So that's the thing with those people who are Team Trump. They're going to, no matter what, they're going to say, yeah, because they're in their bubble, man. And this is what they want to hear. But it didn't make sense to play to the base. It didn't make sense for Kamala Harris to play to her base. It didn't make sense for Donald Trump to play to his base. They are out there trying to capture that 7 to 12% of Americans who are going to decide who the next president is. That's what the mission was. And, I think Kamala helped herself to that point. But you're right, man. There's people out there saying he won. Like, bro, nah. Piers Morgan had a bunch of, conservative talking heads on there, dudes from the Daily Wire, and then they had some like real extreme left guys, like dudes from the Young Turks and some of this other California guy has a podcast, Brian Taylor something, extreme left. So, watch that Piers Morgan episode when he had, he had extreme right guys on there and extreme left guys on there, and they were talking about last night's performance. Even the extreme right people were like, yeah, Trump screwed that up. So, and like this is a football game. Like after the end, it was a sporting event. Kamala Harris went in as the underdog, and she pulled off the victory, just like Pitt did against the Cincinnati Bearcats, just like New England did against the Cincinnati Bengals, and just like NIU, Northern Illinois University, came in as underdogs to Notre Dame's home opener and beat them. Right. So, yeah, at the end of that, when that was all over, at the end of that, debate, all the Democrats, all the liberals were just arm in arm in the end zone, rocking back and forth, probably singing the battle hymn of the Republic, which is like their alma mater. And they were loving it. They took a victory lap, but it doesn't mean anything. All it means is the race is going to remain close. Okay, maybe Kamala got a couple points her way, but it's still too close to call. We're going to go into this election in November, and it's going to be, we got to wait and see. They're well within the margin of error, and that's what's going to happen here. It is what it is. Brother Penny in the building. What's good, fam? Good to see you. So, yeah, that's about 20 minutes of me talking about the election, talking about the debate. I will be clipping some of that, guys, and putting it on YouTube Shorts. But I still think it's two very horrible choices. It's going to be a tough 4 years for America, no matter who gets into the White House. I mean, it is what it is. But people, y'all need to get out there and vote. Get out there and vote.